It's like when I went to the Netherlands and I wanted to learn Dutch. I want to start like speaking Dutch to people, even if I do it super broken or super slow or whatever. So I would go to like restaurants that don't have the Dutch accent. It does sound not Dutch. They would look at me and then they're like, okay. And then they just start speaking to me in English. And I'm like, you're not helping me. I can speak English, thank you very much. I can't speak Dutch.
Next time somebody does that to you, just break into Afrikaans.
No, but no, what happens is they would start speaking English to me and I will just continue speaking broken Dutch to them. And I'm like, you will listen to me butchering your language.
When I was in Spain, it was nice, those people who could help me with the English translation and the Spanish so I could learn the Spanish rather than just continuing to speak in English and then I never heard the Spanish. Or
Exactly.
just speaking in Spanish, even if I told you I don't know Spanish, can you help me out here? And then they just keep talking in Spanish. It's like, okay, like Google Translate out that mild, awkward silence while you're trying to translate to each other.
Can you believe? Can you believe that this is our last episode for this season?
Oh my goodness. Like, I knew it was coming, but I did not expect it already.
Right? It just went by like that. It just goes to show you how much of an impact a community can have. And I think that is what we wanted to create by starting this podcast. And so I can definitely say that I've met some amazing people and I've learned some amazing techniques and skills. And I do feel less alone now because from what I've learned from other people, I can't wait to see what we are going to do and see and experience in season 2. And I 1000% encourage people to email us, to contact us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Threads, on a Pigeon Dove. Like, contact us and be like, hey, I would like to be on your podcast, or I would like to be a part of one of your guest speaking episodes. We love talking to new people and to broaden this writers community.
So here at Teen Tales, we are going to be taking the month of December off. We will be posting some fun things on our social media we've been collecting from this last season. And then we will see you again for season 2 in January.
So for the last time, I, have my classic rooibos tea ready to rock and roll.
I am doing hot chocolate today because it snowed.
Ooh, let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tea and Tales. I'm Madeleine Einal.
And I'm Sarah Sampson. We want to send a huge thank you to all of our followers. You are the ones who make this podcast possible and fun, especially Sandra K. Horn and Savannah Fernandez. Thank you for following us. So today's episode is one we've been looking forward to because it is about our novels.
Yay!
We're not sitting here just saying, oh, we're so awesome, but we want to talk about some things in our writing that keep us motivated, keep us going. And so we're going to talk about the things in our novels that make us excited about our craft.
Absolutely. And also just to prove that we are writers and we're just not just doing this podcast, not knowing anything about anything. I think by this episode, I would hope that people know that I'm a romance writer and that you're a fantasy writer. Otherwise, I suggest going back to episode 1 and starting from scratch. We definitely do write 2 different genres, and each of those are approached differently in vibes, in sentence constructions, in evoking emotions. And I think what you've said in an episode before is that you love to write, I almost want to say like literary poetry in a manner, in some sort of manner. And so, whereas I take my writing approach as being as chilled as a
Guava.
Being as chilled as guava, exactly. Because I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna write the way you speak, because that's what contemporary romance is to me. I tend to enjoy writing in first person because I feel more connected to my characters when I do that. I don't mind reading in third person when I read other people's novels, me personally, connect more with my own characters when I do read first person.
I usually do third person. Usually, I say that because I do have a few characters that I write in first person. And there's specific reasons why I have to write those characters in first person for me, for my mind. But for the majority, it's third person, close third person. So you're zoomed in on them, you're getting their thoughts and things. I don't do the omniscience thing. I am either not that talented or not that into it. I'm not sure which.
Vibing with it.
Right.
Okay, so I was thinking about this. Novels are long, and especially when you do write fantasy, but I always feel like there's a special line or a special phrase or a special dialogue tag or something that you write, and you just kind of go back to it every time, and you're just like, ooh, tinkles. So I would like to know, what is 1 or 2 or 7 of your favorite quotes from your novel or novels?
Let's start with this one. This quote is actually from novel 3. I sketched out novels 2 and 3, and I wrote this line in novel 3, and it's a callback to something that happens in novel 1. I will never delete this line. I don't care what anybody else thinks about it, but it's from a character named Idrish Ardenel, and she says, "I guess we did need each other in the end. It didn't come the way I thought, but it came all the same."
Ooh.
It feels brilliant to me. And maybe it doesn't strike the same nerve with other people who don't know all the background, but I just feel like she has so much reflection and character in that line.
Yeah, no, I love that. And especially, I almost want to say, when you do read the entire novel and you have all these elements and they kind of come together in this one line, and you just feel like, oh.
Yes. And you hope that your readers get to that line and feel that depth that you know has been built into it over years and years of working on these things.
And it, as you can say, it can be something as simple as a line like that, but can have such an impact once you get to know the characters.
Absolutely. So let's do one of yours.
Ooh, okay. So I always find that lines doesn't necessarily have to be big or powerful, or have a lot of very hard words to pronounce or mispronounce in a sentence. Mispronounce more for me, but whatever. And so I'm not a big description fan. So especially in historic romance novels, I'm just like, can we just move on to the storyline? I don't care what it looks like. I want to know the story, okay? Like, I want to know the character. But every now and then, there are these little lines that I write. And to me, they just fall so beautifully on the ear, because I'm like, in some way, they take the character and they blend it with the scene, if that makes sense. So some of my favorite sentences or quotes or phrases that I write are these little scenes to just, I don't know, show something beautiful. So I have this one, it's almost like a little paragraph that says, "Spring used to be my favorite season. Cold enough for early crisp mornings, yet kind enough for flowers to bloom. But over the last 2 years, clouds filled with piercing sharp chills hovered over my head and heart. What was the point in seeing the beauty in those moments, to hope and believe new life would blossom, when it would only be destroyed come winter months?"
Oh,
right?
I'm sitting here waiting for my saffron to bloom, and I'm just thinking, oh, it's so beautiful. And then winter's going to come and destroy it.
Right? And especially because spring and winter also has connections to the characters. So I just thought that was like a beautiful, almost want to say, metaphor for those characters.
How fun.
Okay, go for another one.
All the ones I pulled out are quotes from some of my characters. This one is short and it's snappy. It's from one of my bad guys.
Ooh, we'll have a good bad guy.
I want you to just love them and hate them at the same time. It's great. So this is a Shidawari quote. He said, "Let the agony of defeat feed your fiery passion for revenge."
Oof, that is short and sweet. Like, short and powerful. I see that image. Though in my my mindset, I'd be like, I need to have a change of clothes because I'm wet now.
You know, I had a beta reader who read something and it just had Shidawari quotes and he wasn't even in the story. As she got to the end, I said, "Okay, so what's your favorite character in the book?" And she goes, "Shidawari."
Yep, it's like, take me now, sir.
I said, "Okay, well, you like one of the bad guys. Okay, he'll show up in a later book."
Good to know.
Okay.
That's all about confidence, honestly. It's all about how confident you convey your dialogue. Okay, so this one, it's quite ironic because this one tore at my heartstrings even after I had written it. So this novel that I wrote it's about a woman going overseas to be an au pair in the Netherlands, and then she meets someone there and stuff like that. She went overseas because her mother used to do that. And so her mother passed away, and then she traveled because she wanted to be closer to her. When I came back to edit it, my mom actually passed away. And so when I read it for the second time, when I started editing it, it just kind of hit harder. Because I was like, oh, dang. In one way, it was like a good thing, because also I was like, even though when I wrote it, my mom was still there, it evoked feeling in me afterwards, which was, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not that bad of a writer. So this one kind of really, like, every time I read it, I just hits a nerve. I miss him, I whispered, leaning into the hug. More than that, I miss my mom. I wanted to curl up in her embrace and have her comfort me and tell me everything would be all right. I wanted her to rock me back and forth and rub my back. I just wanted my mom, but she wasn't here. No matter how far I traveled, I would never hear her laugh again or enfold her in my arms. Ugh. So that was like a touching one.
That one got me.
So yeah, that one has definitely been one that has been stuck with me for a long time. So yeah, ending on quotes on a very sad note.
I think that's one of the fun things about writing is you can put those kinds of emotions into words, and it's set off from you just enough that it's that character and their circumstance, and yet it means so much, and it means so much to the readers. And that's why readers read books. They want to feel the feelings and to see the expressions in words that maybe they can't put into words themselves.
Yeah, very true.
I want to talk a little bit about characters. And so the one character that is never going to leave me, and I don't care if I, 20 years from now, if I'm finished writing her story, she's just always going to come back to me. When I was thinking about doing this episode, I actually started thinking about her. And so I pulled out old things that I'd written with her. Yeah. And I've been, instead of editing like I should be, I've been just reading old things.
Stuff.
Her name is Siklali, and the reason why she's so special to me is she's the character who started everything. Like, I was not on the path to be a writer. I was not going to ever write any of the stories in my head. It was just kind of a fun thing for me to do and daydream about. Until I created this character, I have role-playing groups that I do D&D and stuff like that with. And I created her for one of those campaigns and thought, oh, well, okay, there's another throwaway character. But the characters in that particular game, that was a different game for us. Halfway through, I just started developing the story in my mind that has turned into the universe that I write in. All the different stories, all the different characters I create now stem from writing this character. And so there's just so much to her that I poured into her during that time. But I will always go back to her because she inspired everything else. My fellow gamers would say, what did you write this week, Sarah? And they would just want to keep hearing what I wrote. That was a change for me.
Right.
Yeah. She's a fun character too, but she's special to me that way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is such a nice... Now mine will sound boring. Oh my gosh.
When I had beta readers say her name's too hard, you need to change her name, I said no.
Yep, no, that's what I say with all my characters. I'm conflicted because there's like two characters that I love. It's because there are parts of each of them that when I combine them is what I love. Because I think I write romance novels because I want romance. And so if I don't have it in my life, at least I will have it in my fantasy. I just love all my male characters. Because each part of them is like little collections of what I want for a husband or a partner one day. The one that has kind of just always stuck with me is in my Netherlands story. So his name is Jan Beekman. And naturally, it's a very Dutch name. but also
Yeah.
I wanted to mix like the Dutch and the Afrikaans together. And so that was fun researching that. And what I loved about him is he is such a teddy bear character. His character and his character arc was one of the most genuine characters that I built, because I had almost want to say that perfect blend between being a teddy bear versus being comfy and reliable and kind, but challenging Femke and challenging her and making her question her life choices, basically. But that's someone I would definitely want in my life. And I always go back to him because he's my comfort character.
I love that though. You have to have that character who just makes you feel happy with what you're doing. Writing can be something of a journey, I think, where things just happen and you have to just kind of roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't find joy in just writing, you can't find joy in trying to publish either, because there's so much that happens in trying to publish, like beta reader feedback, editing the 20th time over, getting rejection letters from agents, getting bad reviews on your self-published book. All those things can be so disheartening that you have to really love writing to put your writing out to other people. There are moments in the writing process that reinvigorate you. That moment where you think, I am not a piece of crap. My writing is not terrible. I'm going to keep going.
Fine. It's fine.
In this past year, I think one of those moments for me, it was a beta reader feedback moment a couple months ago.
Okay.
I was trying to finish editing this manuscript that I am out there querying right now.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my readers finish it, but they stop kind of making comments. So I'm like, either the end is like the most amazing and beautiful thing that I've ever written in my life, or there's something wrong.
It's the worst thing you've ever written in your life.
Right? It's like, I can't possibly have had 4 chapters that nobody has any problems with. That does not happen. So what am I missing? And it was tearing me up. And I was having a hard time being able to just query, because I was like, I don't feel comfortable about the end of this book. One beta reader in particular, his name is Casey Furman. He said, I feel like the last 4 chapters are an extended epilogue.
Oh.
And I went, please explain. Because I remembered last November when we were getting ready to leave Spain and move back to the United States. And I was listening to somebody's book series, and I made that exact same comment about the last book in that series.
Oh, wow.
And I went, well, those are going to go. So just like that. And it was just this moment of clarity and excitement that pushed me to fix the novel in a way that made me more excited about it again.
Well, you just need that one person who's, I almost want to say brave enough to be like, nope, not, what are you doing here? What's happening right here? And it's quite funny that you mentioned the people were you not making comments after a while. I give my novel to people and they return the novel, or they give feedback and stuff like that, and I don't have any feedback on it. I'm like terribly disappointed. I'm like, how dare you have nothing negative to say about my novel? Like, clearly it can't be this good. Clearly.
I'm not perfect. What is wrong?
But now I'm at the final stages of my editing for this novel before I do start querying this novel. And now I'm at this point where I'm just like, please don't have any comments. Please don't have any comments. Just say it's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, it's gonna sound like I'm copying you, but I promise I'm not. I did the beta reading matchup with Bianca Marais and her The Shit No One Tells You About Writing podcast. And that's how I came upon my beta reading group. We started reading these novels last year, December. And I kid you not, September, we finished with the beta reading groups and with all the feedback that we had for each other. I actually wanted to start querying this novel in April of this year. And because I found this beta reading group, and because they wanted more depth and they wanted more art for the characters and they wanted more story and stuff like that. But clearly it's not as finished as I thought it was. And that was kind of the base thing that happened to me, because it showed me my novel isn't bad, but I want it to be the best that it can be before I do query it. And having gone through all the feedback, making changes, as I'm sitting here now, I really love my novel because I can see the changes I made. I can see the growth that my characters did. And also because they didn't hate the novel, which was nice. I mean, that's always nice when they hate your novel. So they did the parts that I wanted to be funny, or the parts that I wanted to be heartfelt, or the moments. They loved those things. So it was more like nitty gritty. Okay, but we need this character to pop up here again, or we don't need the scene because it's really not bringing the story forward, and terms like that. They love the characters, which is kind of always what you are going for. It would be nice if they do like the characters. It was hard for me because I wanted to start querying this novel to not query it, but it has been worth the wait to put in the time and the effort and the impatience to be able to put it where it is. I say that wanting to query, but having had no feedback from agents yet.
Last question for this episode. This is a long discussion, which is great. I love it. So is there somebody out there who has absolutely inspired you and helped you along your writing path this year?
1000%. I immediately thought of this person because I literally just spoke to her like before we started this recording. So our listeners would probably recognize this name because she was on our beta reading episode. So I 1000% depend on this person, and nobody can ever have her ever again because she's mine. Rose Lawrence, 1000% is my go-to person for every single thing. We met through the beta reading matchup. There are just some beta readers that their feedback just connects with you, and you're just like, yes, like I hear what you're saying. I can feel that you understand my novel and my vision and that you want to help me. And so from the first moment she started giving me feedback, I was like, I want you. Come to me. Come to the dark side. I think she regrets it very much that she gave her my number because I'd be like, hi, Rose. So, a Zoom? Yes. Okay, because I'm struggling with this little thing right now. She has been one of my greatest helps so far, and I'm booking her until the day I die. I love the conversations that we have, and I love it because she asks me hard questions about my characters and about my plot, and that is kind of what I do need. So she's the tough love kind of person. And I do hope I reciprocate that to her. There are other people, but she's the one that kind of sticks out the most. I love Claire Draycott. I love her. We all love her. And she's just like always there, supportive and encouraging you and helping you along your journey. So definitely go give her a follow because also you can't have her. She's ours.
I mean, with the three amigos.
Three Powerpuffs, what do you mean?
The Powerpuff Girls.
Have you found people who inspired you or helped you this year?
The people that I talked about earlier who I kind of started this whole journey because they were like, ooh, I like what you're writing. Please write more. They continue to be a support like year to year. They're my creative partners. Whenever I finish a manuscript or I'm writing a manuscript, they're my alpha readers because they're excited about the story just because it's a story. I get a lot of good ideas and motivation to finish that first draft from them. But one of my creative partners in particular, Noelle Evans, she inspires me so much. She loves to write, but she writes not to publish or anything. She just writes for fun. So the way she writes is completely whatever she wants to do. She is such a pantser. It's amazing. She makes me feel like a planner because she just goes, oh, I just feel like doing this right now. And so we end up in really weird tangents. And if you read any of the stuff that we write, because we write together, she has a hard time with certain parts and I have a hard time with certain parts, but we're good at the parts that the other person's bad at. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we make really good writing partners and we write stories together every day for the last, I think, 5 years. We have written something cooperatively together.
Oh, wow.
And like, I was literally writing with her while I was waiting for you. And then you got on and went, I got to go record my podcast now. And she goes, okay.
Ugh, I gotta go. Ugh.
Pause that story. It builds a lot of backstory for me and a lot of world building for me. I want to see how this element would work. And so we write it out and see what the element does. And if we like it, it becomes part of my world building. If we don't, well, that was fun. There's 3,000 words to throw to the side. You can't replace somebody like that.
Right.
Your Rose, my Noelle. There's so many people who inspire me or keep me moving and help my writing in so many ways. I start to understand why books have such a big acknowledgments pages, because there are so many people who help you out. Like, if you don't have it built in, if your family's not super supportive, if you don't have a super supportive friend group, getting out into the writer community can find those people for you, because writing without it is 10 times harder, and it's already hard enough. So I really hope that everybody out there has at least that one person they can think of who pushes them and inspires them.
So I don't know about you, but there are so many ideas floating around in my mind of next episodes that we can do for upcoming seasons. So we would absolutely love it for each and every listener to contact us and share thoughts and ideas of what you would like to see on our upcoming seasons and what you would like to talk about.
If there's a guest that we've had on that you would like to see again, maybe you know an author that you enjoy beta reading for or talking with, and you'd love to see them on the show because you feel like more people need to know about them, give us a shout out, give them our email. We would love to focus in on those topics that our listeners are most interested in and most want to speak about. We'd like to keep things short and sweet here on Tea and Tales, even though this episode may have gone a little long. Get your pens back on paper and your fingers back on the keyboard.
If you love what we are doing here, if you love our writers community, then go follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Threads at Tea and Tales Podcast, and on Twitter/X and TikTok at Podcast Details. And go to that purple icon of yours, you know you want to, and go give us 5 stars so we can go up, 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 up to the top. And then you can have more singing of me next season.
Happy writing!
Bye!